The Caitlin Clark story is turning into a story about a welfare mentality, an entitlement mentality. Monica McNutt, the woman wrestling, bickering with Stephen A. Smith on First Take, she's a welfare queen. Most, if not all, of the women in the WNBA, they're welfare queens. I'm going to explain today on Fearless. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. Man, this show today is going to be awesome, amazing. Even if I do say so myself. Steve Kim, Shemeka Michelle are going to join me. This is going to be the first of a two-part show on Caitlin Clark and what's going on with Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. If you have not seen, Caitlin Clark was knocked to the ground by a woman named Kennedy Carter in the Indiana Fever Chicago Sky game. Angel Reese has celebrated this and, all of this crap. So I want to just give you a foundational video just in case you haven't seen it. I want to play, and guys, we only need to play just play the whole clip of Caitlin Clark and what happened in the Indiana Fever game against the Chicago Sky. Play the clip.
Mabry doubled off to Carter. Her jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench. And then the lay from Boston as the officials are going to take a look at what just transpired between Carter and Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter, I think that's going to be a flagrant one, and Clark goes to the line and hits the first. They called it away from the ball foul because it happened prior to the inbound. So then anybody can shoot the free throw. Of course, Indiana would have Clark as a great free throw shooter shoot it. A little surprised that it's nothing more than a common foul beyond that. But Clark hits the free throw.
So what you just watched was CC on CC crime. Kennedy Carter, she spells Kennedy with a C, some kind of funky ways. Anyway, Kennedy Carter versus Caitlin Clark, the guard for the Chicago Sky. She's already been booted out of the league. She's like the Dylan Brooks of the WNBA. She's been booted off teams like twice. I think she was a high draft pick, but they can't control her. She has no control over her emotions. Two teams have stepped away from her for conduct detrimental to the team. And just so no one is all that surprised that Kennedy Carter has done something foolish and stupid here. But the reaction has been the most fascinating thing from Monica McNutt and all these other people talking about the WNBA. That's the fascinating thing that I'm about to get into. But before we do that, I want to thank our great friends at Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers. This episode is brought to you by our good friends at Good Ranchers. Use my promo code FEARLESS at goodranchers.com. And with your subscription, you can claim free bacon for life and support veterans this Father's Day. So do that. Now, I want to get to the reaction to this. It's set off a conversation that has engulfed Stephen A. Smith and has really engulfed the entire sports world. And so there's going to be two clips I'm going to ask for back to back. The first one, I believe, is McNutt with Stephen A. Smith. That's SOT number 2. And then McNutt went on Nightcap with Chad Johnson and Shannon Sharp and had more to say after she kicked off a controversy. But let's play SOT number 2 first.
We're talking about them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, Now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, so let me. I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman, Stephen A., and how you have to dance about your word choice and you have to please everybody and anybody as you navigate your being. We are talking about the world's greatest.
How about being a black man?
Being black. Hold on 1 second.
Have you?
So this is what I'm saying to y'all, though, and I know we got to go to break, and we didn't necessarily go there, and maybe we should. There are so many layers in this conversation around the way that it's being discussed. No. And yes, Shannon, I know y'all are going to say and Stephen A., I know you just shared that you have talked about the WNBA on your program too. You guys may not have said everybody, but the prevailing sentiment for folks that are just joining the WNBA and following women's sports is unfair to the women of this league, to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlin Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations. Kennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. We are still talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
All right.
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go to you guys.
So did you say
you're my guy, but
who does more than
Stephen
us?
A., I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
All right, let's.
You're my guy, but I'm talking to you.
I got it.
Guys, I really appreciate
you're my girl, but you've missed a lot of episodes of First Take. You missed a lot.
Stephen A.,
Guys,
3 years ago, you would not talk about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica. You making Stephen A.'s point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A.'s point.
Please let me do my job. Please let me do my job. We've gone for 40 minutes straight. It was a riveting discussion. I have to get into commercial break.
I get that we are at a special place when it comes to women's basketball and the growth of the game and all of the eyeballs. I think what I was frustrated by in our conversation earlier is that we can hold more than one truth, y'all.
Yes.
Like the idea of some players being jealous, yes, that probably exists. But I think in Caitlin's debut, since she has made her debut, there's been a large and loud clamor or push, yes, that is Caitlin versus the W. Okay. And that is unfair. Okay. To me, yeah, jealous, sure. I mean, would you be jealous of somebody that got $28 million a shoe deal or whatever the deal is before you step foot in the pros, right? Yeah. I just need us all to do a better job of holding room for multiple truths. Jordan as a rookie, Joe, right? LeBron as a rookie, like Wemby as a rookie. When you look at guys that have gone on to be great, I'm sure they would not say their rookie years were cakewalks. Now, in the case of LeBron, and if we use Wemby this year, they have physically dominant and powerful statures. And so maybe that has allowed them to skirt some of the curve. But Caitlin is a guard coming from college. She got to get her weight up. The W has to continue to allow her to be one of the leaders of this platform, as Angel Reese has also been, because I know that's going to be a hot topic tomorrow. And so my whole thing is just, it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. But the prevailing idea that it's the W versus Caitlin and that these women don't understand the power of the eyeballs and the audience that she's helped grow the league to, that's just unfair.
Monica McNutt, like a lot of women, and in particular a lot of black women, lives in a constant state of delusion. A constant state of delusion. She'll hear this, people will write this off, oh, Whitlock just hates women, he's just being critical. No, I'm being honest. Something Shannon Sharp, Ocho Cinco, Stephen A. Smith, they're not in position to be the kind of honest that I am. They are totally dependent upon the system, the corporations, the sponsors, the entire feminist rigged regime. They're trapped by it, so they can't be honest. You just heard the rantings of a welfare queen, and you can't say that. If Stephen A. Smith had said that on air, he would be immediately canceled, and Monica McNutt knows it. That's why she is so loose with the truth. That's why she has no respect for the truth, and that's why she has no respect for Stephen A. Smith, and will come on his show and say anything she wants because she knows there's no repercussions. She has all the power. She's got the gun. Stephen A. Smith is the rabbit. But that's a welfare mentality. Let me walk you through and put some meat on those bones. This woman, first I'm just going to deal with her delusion. Welcome to the world of women, Stephen A., where you have to navigate your being and make sure every word is this. No, there is no governor on what comes out of a woman's mouth, particularly a black woman. Particularly, there are no rules for black feminist women. None. They can say anything, and there are no repercussions. They'll never be canceled as racist. They'll never be canceled as anti-Semitic. They'll never be canceled as homophobic. They'll never be canceled because they're a black female feminist who supports all the ideologies that make you uncounselable. And so she knows it. And that's why she's talking so loosely on another man's show. Stephen A. Smith, whether I like him or not, he built that platform. And this woman came on his show and talked to him in the most disrespectful, condescending, uneducated way you could possibly do it. This plays out across America all the time. And I got to quit apologizing. Facts. This is what the dynamic that goes on between black men and black women, because black women have a welfare queen mentality. Why do I say welfare queen? What league is she playing in? The WNBA. Who finances and pays for the WNBA? The NBA. Black men. And the owners of the NBA. They're financing the WNBA. The WNBA has been around for 25, 26 years, has never turned a profit, loses millions of dollars every year, faces no repercussions for that failure because the NBA is subsidizing this welfare league. And these women are completely ungrateful. How come I ain't getting more attention? Because no one wants to watch your failing league. No one wants to see a bunch of angry, mostly lesbian feminists beat up on each other and play a game below the rim. But her mindset is so entitled, and their mindset is so entitled, and we've allowed this delusion to exist so long. And not only must you subsidize this league, but damn it, we need to fly around on private jets to games no one's watching. We need to lose even more money on this league, and you need to pay for it. I demand it. Give me, give me, give me, give me. No gratitude that the league even exists off the backs of the NBA. Just like no gratitude that Stephen A. Smith has consistently put this woman on his show when it was her time to like, hey, Stephen A., let me put you in your place. What did she do? Put Stephen A. Smith in his place. Let Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp know, nah, I got the gun. You're rabbits. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And so I just want you to think of the entitlement. I want to give you an analogy of just how far we've gone with this lunacy towards women and black women in particular. You've given them a league. You've given them television commercials, even though no one knows who they are and no one's in any real way interested in them other than Caitlin Clark. You're giving them shoe deals. You're bending over backwards, trying to make them relevant for more than a quarter of a century. And you know what they say? That ain't good enough. Talk about us. Even though your audience doesn't want to hear it and really only wants to hear you talk about one person, Caitlin Clark, Monica McNutt is sitting on national TV. No, talk about all of us. And you know what? You better honor and respect the black women who carried the WNBA to financial loss after financial loss, to irrelevancy after irrelevancy. You better support these black queens. They carry this league. That's delusion and a lie, and Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp know it. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, they carried the WNBA. They're worth celebrating. Their sacrifice is why the WNBA exists. But you got this delusional black queen sitting on TV day after day, and everybody else day after day, all of them. Andrea Carter, who I like and love, I wish she didn't play for the other team, but all of them. They sit there with this look of entitlement and this conversation of entitlement. And I'm going to give. So you start out, and this is the path we're on as it relates to welfare. All right, look here, baby girl. I'm going to pay for your food. I'm going to give you these food stamps so that you and your baby don't go hungry. I'm going to create Section 8 housing so that the government can pay for you to be housed at a very inexpensive price, and we'll even cover most of the housing. So I'm going to provide you with food and shelter. This is what the government has done. And then, we're going to provide daycare that's free. We're going to public education, so you have someone to babysit your kids and educate your kids. We're going to do all of these things to make it easier on you. The government, taxpayers are going to foot the bill for all of this. And you know what? You got to have a cell phone. Let me give you some free cell phones. Let me make sure you have access to Wi-Fi. Let me provide all these things. And so what the WNBA has said, their mentality and American mentality, the American culture, because we've created this welfare mentality and this debt that we pretend we owe women. Now the welfare queens, and you can see it in the WNBA, they're negotiating for 4 weeks of vacation and bought and paid for trips on Carnival Cruise Lines. That's where we're at right now. The people on welfare are basically saying, if I don't get a vacation here and a chance to decompress, how can I handle all these responsibilities I've created for myself? How can I handle these 3 kids I have with 3 different men if I don't get some downtime and a vacation? I need Carnival Cruise, you all to pay for my trip around the Bahamas so I can decompress. That's where we're at right now as this narrative continues to play out. That's the level of entitlement we have in the I need a private flight so I can fly to games that no one wants to see. I haven't earned it. I'm owed it. I'm owed it because, you know what? I know you men made all these sacrifices. You risked your life. You died in wars. You did jobs we didn't want anything to do with. But damn it, you oppressed us and you mistreated us. And I need my 4 weeks of vacation. And you need to pay for it. I need private flights. And you know what? I need you men, not women, because I think 52% of America is women. I don't need you women coming to the game and supporting me. I need you men coming to the game, and I need you to turn your shows and platforms over to us so we can talk about this sport that no one really wants to see. The same mentality. And trust me, in our lifetime, we will see welfare recipients demand bought and paid for exotic vacations. How else can they be happy? How else can they be fulfilled unless the government pays for them on their little Bahama cruise line trip on Carnival? That's where we're headed. That's where the WNBA is. Monica McNutt has the perfect name. She's a nut job. I want to play you this other nut job who we've allowed to live in this constant state of delusion. Angel Reese, play shot number 14. Angel Reese in this just clear delusion that we tolerate. And after we play this clip, I'm gonna tell you why we tolerate this delusion. Play it.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
That's jealousy and envy and delusion, all mixed together. Angel Reese has done a couple of nice things, added some femininity to the way these women dress. Great. No one's tuning in to watch Angel Reese play basketball. She's not that skilled. She's not that good. She's an energy player. She gets rebounds. She gets puts back. But no one's tuning in to watch Angel Reese. It's just not happening. She's not Michael Jordan. She's not Magic Johnson. She's not Larry Bird. She's someone that taunted Caitlin Clark on a big stage. Those are the facts. But you know why we can't tell those facts in big settings or on corporate platforms? Because there's a group of punks that sit on these platforms. And punk's a strong word, but they are punks. And their bosses are punks. They won't allow them to say the truth. And there's a recipe that they do. That they pick uneducated men and athletes who are controlled by their smallest head, the sexually promiscuous, who have no self-control. And so they sit on these shows, either uneducated or they're sexually promiscuous. And so every thought that comes through their head is like, oh boy, if I say what I really think, these black women and these feminist white women are not going to sleep with me. And I may lose my job. It's that combination. If I get crossways with these black women and feminists, they're going to come after my job and they're not going to sleep with me. Because again, some of these athletes have so much money, it just shouldn't matter. And so what they're really protecting is their access to loose women. And so they sit there and know, like, oh boy, if I say what I really think here and talk about how delusional Angel Reese is, these feminist black women won't sleep with me anymore. And these feminist white women, it'll be much harder for me to sleep with them. The groupies that I have access to, it's going to be much harder to get access to them. We're being controlled by our smallest head. We're being controlled by our immorality. We're not in position to say to an Angel Reese, shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're delusional. People are watching these games because of Caitlin Clark. You're a nice little supporting actress occasionally, but you ain't got nothing to do with these record ratings and all of that. Yes, you play a little bit role, but that role is over. Yes, you taunted Caitlin Clark. It's a delusion that's embarrassing and can't be stopped. It can't even be addressed because these guys are all afraid. Oh, they're going to say I hate black women if I tell the truth about the WNBA. And then black women, when I go to the Essence Festival, black women won't sleep with me because, I don't think they're Yah's queens and I'm not worshiping them. This is idolatry. Idolatry of women, sexual idolatry. That's why I talk about it nonstop. And I'll get into it with Steve Kim about Pat McAfee and his white bitch comment that caused all these problems. But I want to show you Stephen A. Smith from this morning in full Deion Sanders backpedal. They got, he's backpedaling like Deion Sanders. Oh, they got him. Monica McNutt and these gatekeeping black women and feminists have got Stephen A. Smith backpedaling. He now, I think this is SOT number 12. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is him ranting about Caitlin Clark and just selling the racial deal and making sure he cleans up his mess with black women and feminists to know, and the whole Black Lives Matter crowd, hey, I hate white women too, and I don't like Caitlin Clark, and her supporters are racist. Anyway, play the clip.
Caitlin Clark is white. And because she's white, and because she's considered box office and she's a star who happens to be white, that is why Eminem, when I brought up words like envy or jealous or resentment, whatever word you wanted to pick, I didn't say it in a negative fashion like, oh my God, it's a problem. I used the word justified. You know why? Because black people throughout this country for years have felt that level of ire because we know we've got to be twice as good to get half as much. We know we've got to extend ourselves. We know we've got to put ourselves on Front Street to have a shot at getting half. Pick a profession. Pick a name. Ask yourself, pick the biggest star. Pick the biggest star in podcasts. Pick the biggest star in television. Pick the biggest star in sports or whatever. That's black. And ask yourself the question that we all ask. If they were white, what would they be? How much money would we get paid if we were white? How much success would we reap if we were white? How much endorsements would we get? How receptive would America be to us? Because it's still 60% of the population. And even in the year 2024, when the white populace in this country is dipped from 90 to 85 to 80 to 70 to now 60% and dipping, okay, even now, you have a situation where you get somebody who happens to be white and they're a star and they deserve the acclaim. They receive something we know we wouldn't receive on that level. Why do you think I say on national television, when white folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia? Because it's always worse for us. There's always an extra challenge. We always have to go through more. It's not a secret. We get it. And so all I'm trying to say to you is when Angel Reese said what she said, let's read between the lines. Because what she's really saying is that this is really not a big deal. We're making it a big deal because of what I did and who I did it to.
Can you believe that? Do you think he honestly believes that? What world does he live in? Did Michael Jordan, was there something he's been cheated out of? What was there, did Larry Bird make as much money as Michael Jordan off the court? Has anybody? Tiger Woods had the world by the tail, crushing it. Was there some sort of level of money or fame or attention that Tiger Woods was denied? Muhammad Ali? Michael Jackson? Chris Rock? I don't know who. Jay-Z? You got guys rapping pornographic nursery school rhymes that make millions of dollars. There's a woman called Sexy Red and another one called Cardi B. They have no talent. They're making millions of dollars. Oh, but the bar is set so high for us. We have to do twice as much to get half as much. Man, that's something Stephen A's great-grandparents experienced. Stephen A experienced that. And Stephen A is saying all of this for two reasons. One, he's trying to pressure ESPN into overpaying him. That's clear as day. Anybody can see that, Stevie Wonder. But two, he's trying to get back in the good graces with the black feminist Black Lives Matter crowd. He has to tell these lies, and women force him to tell these lies. These are just fundamental facts. We see it over and over and over again. The black feminist woman has the gun. Black men are the rabbits. We run out of fear. We hop on talking points. We support their illogic out of fear because they have the gun. The welfare queens have the gun and can shoot and kill you at any time. Monica McNutt has a welfare queen mentality. Period. End of story. And I told you they install people like Stephen A. Smith because he's vulnerable. Do you know at any moment Monica McNutt could say, hey, bruh, we talking basketball. And I actually had a college basketball career and accomplished things in college basketball. You made it up. He ain't built for this fight, and he was put in the position he was put in because he's not built for this fight. He can't go toe-to-toe with these black feminists. He can't go toe-to-toe with the white feminists. He's not built for it. His resume excludes him. He can be taken out at any time. He wrote a book full of pathological lies and exaggerations. He's installed. He's a plant. And so these feminists can run all over top of him. Not trying to take no pot shots at Shannon Sharpe, but when you have the HR history and the issues he's had in his person, not built to go toe-to-toe with them. And so men are going to continue to get slaughtered as these welfare queens run around with their guns and a license to kill. They got less accountability than the police. Anita Hill could come from out of nowhere and said, hey, you know what, Clarence Thomas, I know he's built a great resume, but I can shut him down and embarrass him and smear his name and cause great harm to this man's reputation with a 20-year-old allegation. Hey, Brett Kavanaugh, I can take something that happened when we were 13, 14, 15 years old, add some yeast to it, exaggerate it, and 30, 40 years later, I can smear your name and nearly cost you a Supreme Court position based off of something I made up out of my head or exaggerated out of my head. They got the gun. Men are rabbits. They're shooting us. If we don't hop on board with their delusion, they're shooting and killing us. It's incredible. And y'all sitting around thinking this has no impact on you. And hey, I want this black queen to get this job because she's going to look out for me. No, she's not. You think Monica McNutt is looking out for Stephen A. Smith? You better start making choices based on values, not on skin color. Because if she ain't got your values, if she doesn't think men are fit for leadership or that she will do a better job in a leadership position than men, she is your enemy. She will take you out for her benefit. That's what's happening to Stephen A. Smith. We done made the welfare queen the most powerful person in America. Lord have mercy. I'm going to bring Steve Kim in. Before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about our purpose. Preborn. How many of you love puppies? They're so sweet and cuddly. What's not to love? But can you imagine pulling puppies out of their mother's womb? Oh, the outrage that would ensue. So why are puppies more protected than babies? Preborn is the nation's leader in protecting the life of the unborn. By introducing babies to their mothers through ultrasound, a baby's chance at life doubles. That's why Preborn and their network of clinics offer free ultrasounds to women with unplanned pregnancies in the highest abortion areas in the country. Through their good work, Preborn rescues 200 babies every day, and they don't stop there. They are a ministry of compassion, loving women and babies, offering assistance for up to 2 years. If you consider yourself pro-life, it's time you help the good work of Preborn. One ultrasound is just $28, and $140 helps to rescue 5 babies' lives. Every baby deserves a chance at life. Please donate your best gift today. Just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or visit preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. We're going to bring in the notorious Steve Kim next.
But when we think about manhood in its totality, you have to think about it in the context of the God who made us in his image, the God who made us male and female, the God who gave us male and female as these corresponding parts, the God who looked at Adam and said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I'm going to help him. Amen. One of the boys said, God looked at him and said, you need some help. And we do. And from that standpoint, this war against manhood and this war against marriage is essentially a war against the God who created us in his image.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps and I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. Steve Kim, I think I got a great topic for us today. Angel, I'm going to start here. Angel Reese wants credit. She's not getting enough credit. She did this too. She taunted Caitlin Clark. She made this whole thing. The reason why WNBA is up is because of Angel Reese. Is Angel Reese getting enough credit, Steve?
You know, I saw where she said yesterday, the lovely Angel Reese said, well, it's not just one person. I had something to do with it too. You know, it reminds me of this certain date that'll live in the hearts of many Lakers fans to the day we die. January 22nd, 2006, Jason. That date may not mean much to you, but us people in LA will always remember that Sunday night as the game that Kobe Bean Bryant exploded against the Toronto Raptors. Okay? And it would almost be like, on that particular night, in retrospect, if Sasha Vujacic would have a press conference and say, you know what, that was a great comeback. Me and Kobe combined for 84 points that game. Yeah, we led that comeback because Kobe and I, without our 84, we probably don't win. Now, never mind that it was Bean with 81 and Vujacic was only 3. So again, it's factual, but there has to be some context layered within those facts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I went from liking Angel Reese a little bit to now I don't like Angel Reese. I'm back to like, she's just bad news. And, you know, she's fallen right in line with the rest of the WNBA. She's just an angry feminist. And, you know, they may get her all the way on board. She may marry Brittany Griner at some point. Who knows? But I find Angel Reese completely unlikable. And I'm telling you, I was at about 20%. Like, hey, I kind of like Angel Reese, and I moved past the taunting thing, but now I haven't.
Jason, I saw a graphic on Twitter, and again, I don't take everything on Twitter as gospel, but someone showed her stat line, and isn't she shooting like 35% from the field? Now, look, I don't think much of the WNBA skill level. I really don't. I still think it's largely unwatchable. Can somebody tell me who in the world watches a 35% shooter from the paint that is basically grabbing her own rebounds from her own missed shots? This whole notion that somehow Angel Reese is driving ticket sales, she might to a certain degree, but I saw another statistic that was put up in terms of the attendance throughout the weekend of every other game that did not have a certain quote unquote white beat from Iowa compared to every other game. There's a stark difference. And so, again, is there a league? Yes. Are there other players involved? Yes. But we have to be completely honest about this, whether we like it or not. 90% of this revived or renewed interest is really based around one singular player.
It's certainly based around one singular player. And I get it. I can't believe they're speaking this stuff out loud, but I think they're speaking the stuff out loud. There's no accountability for black female feminists. They can say anything, and if you criticize it, you're racist. Period. End of story.
Yeah. Jason, what's interesting is from the mainstream media, there is none. There's no doubt about it. Now, I want to make this point. The whole industry of the WNBA, which count as the players, the coaches, the media members, the journalists, the broadcasters, and certain observers / superfans, they truly are the most unlikable lot of any sport by far. I could see why they repel people from peeking inside the curtain and being fans. I'm being dead serious. It goes far beyond just Monica McNutt, and we can get into that later. But I will say this, though, Jason. On YouTube, there are many people that are doing some great videos, calling it out honestly, just the way you'd want to. Shout out to Melanie King. Miss King, shout out to you, my fine queen. You are calling it the way it is. She's done some great videos on it recently. I sent you one. Jada Black's done a great job. Of course, Ock Nation. He's been doing daily rants about this. Very, very good stuff. Chaotic Truth, guys of that nature. And also Brandon Tatum, I thought, did a great video. So the coverage is out there, Jason. It's just not in the corporate mainstream media.
Steve, I want to share with you, I think, didn't Kennedy Carter put out some statement maybe through the WNBA? I thought it's not an apology, but I want to read her tweet or something. I think it's a tweet she had, and just get your reaction to Kennedy Carter. I don't really, it's not surprising what she did given her reputation. It's right on brand for her. She's basically Dylan Brooks Draymond Green, typical WNBA player, rougher than, and she's been booted off or released by a couple of different teams. But here's her tweet, and this is the problem with the WNBA. I just don't want to see this. I don't want to support people who talk this way, think this way, particularly when they're women. We grown as F, and y'all talking about enforcer. Man, get the F out of here. Hoop or shut up. It's Steve. I just don't want to see. I don't want to support women who talk and think this way. Call me sexist, but I guess that I am.
Old Chennedy. Yeah, I said Chennedy. She didn't want to answer the question, though, at the press conference, but she puts that out. I'm going to say something that's going to surprise you, though. I think next year, the Indiana Fever, they need to get their version of Chennedy. They need someone that's going to be the Charles Oakley to the Jordan that is Caitlin Clark. It's done in other sports. It's been done in basketball. I think the Indiana Fever have a very, very interesting offseason ahead of them because they have to gauge the temperature of what is going on and how valuable Caitlin Clark is. And then I would get a whole new coaching staff and a system that fits one player, Caitlin Clark, and then everyone else. You better be able to protect her and to complement her game. And if you're not willing to do that, you're out of here. But yeah, I'll say it. They need to get a couple of Chennedy Clarks, Carters in that room because quite frankly, I'm going to say this to Jason. I think that the non-protection or the behavior of her teammates, Jason, has actually been worse than the opponents. I expect opponents to act like that. But you are really seeing the pettiness and the jealousy of females. And what's that old line? Females are more jealous and petty with each other in the workplace or socially than any men. I think that is being borne out with the way the Indiana Fever are treating their most precious, valuable commodity.
I agree with you, and I want to buttress your point here. But first, let me take care of a little business. Since 2007, Folds of Honor has provided life-changing scholarships to the spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled in combat. And in 2023, this was extended to include the families of fallen first responders. They've awarded 51,000 scholarships and more than $200 million so far. And the need is still great, but together we can make sure no qualified applicant is turned away. Flying Ace has aligned with Folds of Honor to ensure the children of our American heroes receive the education they deserve. As proud supporters of Folds of Honor, Flying Ace has had the privilege of providing hope for the families of those who protect our freedom. To that end, Flying Ace is proudly sponsoring 4 scholarships awarded quarterly this year. Please, if you can, donate today and help them make a great impact. Go to flyingacespirits.com or scan the QR code on the screen. The link is also in the show notes. When you purchase a bottle of Flying Ace, you will also be donating to Folds of Honor. Make sure you use the promo code Whitlock, that's WHITLOCK, and get free shipping on every order. That's flyingacespirits.com, promo code Whitlock. Steve, told you I'm getting old, but I wanted to piggyback the point you made. Could you restate the point you made? Because I got a little sidetracked.
Well, she needs an enforcer. I mean, Michael Jordan, his most beloved teammate, is not actually Scottie Pippen. That may have been his most skilled, but the guy that he valued the most early on in his career was Charles Oakley. And if you took a shot at Michael going up in the air through the key, there would be retribution. And in hockey, there were guys for Wayne Gretzky. I think his name was Dave Semenko, that if you wanted to check Wayne Gretzky hard and rough him up, Shemeka would make sure that whoever your star player was would get equal treatment. It was almost like this pH balance. And in baseball, if one of your main hitters gets hit, there was an understanding. That starting pitcher had to take that ball in the next inning, and he had to make sure that there was some get back. That kept everybody in line. It was kind of a self-policing. And right now, Caitlin Clark is just getting bounced around, ragdolled, and run over like Mr. Bill. Oh, no.
No one has her back, and here's how I know here's what my suspicion is. The reason why the Chicago Sky got rough with her is because, and why the rest of the league is getting rough with her, and why there was no reaction. Aaliyah Boston just walked over like nothing had happened and helped Caitlin Clark up. Yeah. She didn't even look at the person that hit her. And again, I'm not accusing Aaliyah Boston of this, but there are at least 1 or 2 or 3 players on that Indiana Fever team who's communicating with other players around the league and putting the word out. They're like, yeah, we need to rough this chick up. We need to get some get back. We're not going to do anything. We're going to break. They're trying to break Caitlin Clark mentally. And I guarantee you, there are girls on that Indiana Fever team, women on that Indiana Fever team that know oh man, this is rough on Caitlin Clark. She's crying. She's hurt by this. She can't understand why she's in this storm because she's just out there playing basketball. All these conversations that's going on about, she's not controlling that. She's not telling people, hey, talk about me, talk about me. I think she's got some traitors, some Benedict Arnolds on her own team that have put the word out. Yeah, we almost got her. Keep playing rough with her. She'll break.
Jason, how much you want to make a bet? And again, we're just speculating here, but this is what we do. That instead of using the word Caitlin Clark or the rookie, they probably use the term that white bitch. Let's be very honest. That's what's so funny about this whole outrage over Pat McAfee saying it as a play on words based on what has happened this past weekend. But look, there's no doubt about it. I saw this one scene. It was on Twitter. It got a lot of traction. She's warming up. I don't know what city she was in. Then all of a sudden, there's this group of kids. Many of them had her paraphernalia and her jersey on. And being the face of the league, she went over and she started signing autographs, taking pictures, and it was a scene where a lot of kids were surrounding her and they're looking up to her. And there's a couple of young boys there. You don't think a lot of these aggrieved parties, these bitter, jealous women are looking over side-eye going, look at her. I've been here for 8 years. I'd never have been asked for an autograph. No one's ever treated me that way. And meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, maybe it's your own conduct. Maybe it's the way you look. Maybe it's the way you present yourself. Because when you look at Caitlin Clark, I don't know if it's a pretty privilege. Like, I don't look at her as a sex symbol. Like, Jason, I have to be honest. You may find her attractive, but do I find her to be at like the Jenny Finch level of attractiveness? No, I really don't. But I think that there's a wholesome air about her. She's middle America. She's not tatted up. She acts pretty well for the most part, it seems like. I know she can be a little mouthy on the court too, but she presents herself in a way, as that old saying goes, it plays in Peoria.
No question about it. And toss on the fact that she has a boyfriend right there in Indianapolis and maybe appears to be headed towards marriage, all of that. But since you went there, I want to play SOT number 13. I want to go to the Pat McAfee conversation. And Pat McAfee, I'm still kind of up in the air about what he was doing here, why he used the word white bitch. There was part of me is like, oh, he just wants to be in the controversy. But then I talked to someone, Justin, who watches his show regularly and says, hey, this isn't really unusual. This is kind of what Pat McAfee does. He's used the word bitch on the show before. He's not being out of character. He wasn't just trolling and trying to inject himself into the conversation. But let's play the clip, and then I want to get your reaction.
The GOAT. Is she what? I don't know. I just, with my eyes, I couldn't see if she's Caucasian or not. So I think what we're trying to say is what the WNBA currently has is what we like to describe as a cash cow. There is a superstar. And we're not saying that the players on the court need to act any differently. That's the athletes are going to do what athletes are going to do in any sport. And I think we're all learning that WNBA, that's old school football, baby. That is old school football. But I would like the media people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is a superstar. And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program from nothing to a multiple-year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the history of the NCAA? Not just the women's record by Kelsey Plum, shout out, but also Pistol Pete Maravich's, the dude's record as well. Is there a chance that people just enjoy watching her play basketball because how electrifying she is, what she did, what she stood for, how she went about going, what she went for? Maybe. But instead, we have to hear people say that we only like her because she's white. And she's the only popular because the rest of the rookie class is doing what they're doing. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And we think the WNBA, more specifically, their refs need to stop trying to screw her over at every single turn. What you have is somebody special. And we're lucky she's here in Indiana. And that was, guess which, WNBA rookie.
All right, so that was Pat McAfee. He later issued an apology over Twitter saying, I shouldn't have used white bitch as a descriptor of Caitlin Clark, no matter the context, even if we're talking about race being a reason for some of the stuff happening. I have way too much respect for her and women to put that into the universe. My intentions when saying it were complimentary, just like the entire segment, but a lot of folks are saying that it certainly wasn't at all. That's 100% on me. For that, I apologize. I have sent an apology to Caitlin as well. Everything else I said, still all facts. What do you think here? What was Pat McAfee doing? Did he need to apologize?
I don't think he needed to. Maybe he wanted to. I don't know. This is one of the things. When you work at ESPN, the worldwide leader, there may be external pressures that do not exist when you are independent. Maybe he really genuinely did feel bad. I knew the context of what he was saying and how he was saying it. I thought it was almost in his own way mocking all of the detractors that have been kind of taking aim at the most valuable commodity in the WNBA. I only say it half jokingly, Jason. I actually think she should be the logo. Jerry West is for the NBA. Caitlin Clark should be for the WNBA because she really means that much. But I give Pat McAfee a lot of credit for a white guy to just step out and say it. It's not the rookie class. It's Caitlin Clark and a bunch of other parts that we pretend to care about. That alone does take some courage. But again, at the same time, he's also insulated by the fact he has basically his own franchise.
What ESPN, how do you think they'll handle it? Will they just ignore it and hope it goes away? Or do you think they're in a little tough spot here? I think for the first time, Pat McAfee has given his harshest critics an opening.
No, because the aggrieved party in this one is a white female. It's still Caitlin Clark. There's a license to take shots at her. Now, if this was Angel Reese that he used a derogatory term, there could be the argument, well, that shouldn't have come from you, right? So I think because Caitlin Clark is, as Ock Nation would say, a glacier glider, this will be kind of swept under the rug. He's apologized. He's given his mea culpa, and everyone will go about their business.
Stephen A. Smith is in the crosshairs, too, because of Monica McNutt. There's a clip here, and guys, either hit me via text and make sure that I'm on the same page here. This First Take deal about DEI, is this a comment he has made here in the last 24, 36 hours? This isn't an old clip. Is this something he has said in reaction to what's going on with Caitlin Clark? So I am interested in hearing this. Steve, earlier I played a clip from Stephen A. where he's in clear backpedal mode from Monica McNutt, and he started shouting the Black Lives Matters talking points and just trying to get back in the good graces of the Yas Queens and the Black Girl Magic crowd. Yeah, I think this is Stephen A. Smith on his own YouTube channel or show talking about this whole thing, and then I think defending DEI. Let's play the clip.
You as an audience don't know this, but Monica McNutt does. The James Dunn and the David McKinnons of the world and others. These are black men overseeing First Take. My boss, the HNIC, as they say, one of the executives, the top 3 executives at ESPN overseeing First Take is a black man by the name of Dave Roberts. We have black women, we have white women. Mina Combs, let me not forget to mention her. There's a female host on my show. Anybody trying to let go of Molly? Before her, it was Carrie Champion. Before Numbers Never Lie came along with Jamel Hill, she's on First Take. First Take has spearheaded diversity and equity. You have any idea how offensive it was for me to sit there and hear Monica McNutt say that about me when I'm the one who handpicked our roster on First Take?
Steve, your thoughts. Steve A. Smith laying his DEI bona fides out there for everyone. Don't challenge me. I'm the DEI king. I gave you Negroes jobs. Free at last, free at last. Stephen A. Smith has made you Negroes free at last.
You know, no good deed goes unpunished. And the clip that went viral where Monica McNutt said, you know, with all due respect, Stephen, you could have been talking about this on your platform 3 years ago. And I told you this yesterday, Jason. This is where being a male, even if you're Stephen A. Smith, you have to go into these fights with one arm tied behind your back because you can't go all the way there. Because honestly, I would have said, well, here's the problem, Miss McNutt. If I would have done that 3 years ago, I wouldn't have this job and we would have been canceled. because First Take would have been the last thing most of our audience would tune into. That is the reality, because it gets back to this. Why are we even talking about the WNBA in June of 2024? We go back to that white bitch from Iowa, Caitlin Clark. And so, but Steven has to, like, that has to be like the elephant in the room that he can't address. Nobody wanted to talk about the WNBA 3 months ago, much less 3 years ago. And this is once again a constant thing that frustrates me. Why is it the women always feel as though it is the men's job, whether it's from a perspective of the fans or media, to promote and push a women's league? Last time I checked, Jason, when I checked the U.S. Census, always half this population is females. And you know, by statistics, they've done studies on this. You know who actually supports women's sports, or basically the WNBA, even less than men? Women. So there comes a point where stop pointing fingers at everybody. Stop scapegoating it. It's been a bad, unmarketable league. And when you keep talking about the foundation that was laid, the foundation was bad. The foundation was basically made out of quicksand. You had a bunch of unpalatable personalities and unmarketable players, and the political stances that they were allowed to take were not going to be well received by the general media. And then here's the other thing. The basketball wasn't that good. You put all those together, that's why the league needed a Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, it's been a welfare league, and women are dependent on the welfare of men, and still are, and just feel more and more entitled every day. And there's just not enough men can do, including making, we got to pretend like Angel Reese is the next Dwayne Wade or the next Kobe Bryant. And she's not. She is Dylan Brooks at best.
She's Joe Kim Noah. She's a physical player, you know, can't really shoot all that well. And the other thing, the thing they push back on, and I do feel bad for Caitlin Clark, they make it sound like she's the great white hope, and maybe she is, but she wouldn't be getting this attention if she could not actually play. She's the all-time leading scorer in college basketball. Let's not act like she's only there because of her skin tone. I was thinking about this, Jason, but the last 35, 40 years that I've really cared about basketball at all, basically every white player has been given the respect that they deserve. If you're Adam Morrison and you can't get your shot off, you're going to be a bust. If you're J.J. Redick and you can play a role, you're going to stick around. If you're Larry Bird, you're going to be given MVP trophies. If you're Dirk Nowitzki, you're going into the Hall of Fame. I've never actually seen, and I know they used to joke about the last player on the bench always being a white guy. I'm not even so sure that's true, to be honest with you. But I do recall Rex Chapman was good enough to be a starter for a full decade. But guess what? Guys like him and Christian Laettner got traded a lot. There wasn't like this whole notion that every team needs to have this precious white guy to build up the attendance. It's simply not true.
Steve, I just want very quickly for you to comment on Bob Costas had something interesting to say about the WNBA. Bob is someone I consider a friend, someone I respect. But I want to play you this clip of Bob Costas. It's SOT number 4. Here's Bob Costas talking about the difference, I think, in the way Angel Reese was treated and the difference in the way that Caitlin Clark's been treated as it relates to hard fouls. Play the clip.
This is Angel Reese weighing in. She is the other big star right now in WNBA. Listen.
People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role. The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Well, she's talking about the championship game
right.
a year ago,
both a part
LSU versus Iowa, and LSU prevailed. But to your earlier point, there was an incident recently. Alyssa Thomas, who happens to be African American, grabbed Angel Reese by the throat and threw her to the floor. Flagrant 2, ejected from the game. The reason why that doesn't spark as much conversation isn't just that Caitlin Clark is a bigger star than Alyssa Thomas. It's because it's a black-on-black incident,
Wow.
and you don't have that dynamic that people can comment on, yes, but also exaggerate and make the entire story sometimes.
And also, no
that
one
is really
cares.
that is between
no
the
one
lines.
cared
what's going
about
on
the
here.
WNBA when women of a certain color were beating up and bruising each other, because it's been happening since the league's inception. We have this star, this person that people love. They want to protect her. So now the new fans and the new analysts and the new people have so much to say. Bob, thank you for saying that and acknowledging that, because you're a legend in this sport. And you are also gracious enough to say, look, I'm not an expert in the WNBA, but what I do know from the history and what I do know, this is why she is being treated this way, and why no one cares about
I've seen
Reese.
it in every sport.
I mean,
a newcomer is tested and to some extent resented.
So that's Bob Costas getting his Yas Queen pat on the head from Kari Champion and whoever the other woman is. He must feel like he's in heaven right now. He's bulletproof for at least the next 24 to 48 hours after getting a pat on the head from Kari Champion.
You know, I miss the good old days when he would just rhapsodize how things were better without the designated hitter. Look, this has been a trend with Costas going down this route for a while. And I remember on his HBO show, he would always have Bomani Jones on there. And so that was just kind of, you understood what direction he was going. And I get the sense now this is about his own survival. But so I have a question. So now we are going to say black on black crime and violence is a real thing. There's always a debate over that. I thought it was just like the construct made up by the right wing. But okay, so, we'll see if that lasts for another week or so. But here's the difference, though. And nobody is saying that the WNBA has not been physical. Basketball can be a very physical game, especially inside the paint. But I think the question is, when you have these incidents, are players being targeted like it seems like Caitlin Clark is at times? Look, when you play basketball, you're going to get hit. But it's hard to actually look at this honestly and say, you know what, I don't want to say there's a bounty. I think that's the wrong word. But again, Caitlin Clark seems to be a target. I think there's a difference between having good, hard, clean fouls, bodies are bumping, you're trying to box each other out, you're fighting for rebounds. But when there's a stated mission to, hey, knock this down, I think, again, that's where you have to put things into context.
Steve, thank you so much. Great job as always. We'll see you later this week. I'm going to bring on Shemeka, but before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about a great docuseries we have at The Blaze, the Fauci cover-up, about how Dr. Fauci and his incompetence, his malfeasance, his dishonesty is all coming out now. Our government, Congress did a decent job, but this docuseries we did does a great job. It's called The Cover-Up. Just go to FauciCoverup.com/Whitlock. Use the promo code Fauci Lied to get $30 off your annual subscription to Blaze TV, and you can watch and see and absorb the real truth about the kind of cover-up Dr. Fauci participated in and why we should all be angry and demanding more from our government towards holding Dr. Fauci accountable. Go to FauciCoverup.com/Whitlock. Use the promo code Fauci Lied to get $30 off an annual subscription to Blaze TV. Shemeka Michelle next.
Revelation, I can feel it coming like a dark train running. Oh, get ready, 'cause the king is coming. The king is coming back again. judgment comes like a lightning flash, their voice will wail and their teeth will gnash. He'll set fire to the evil ones and all the wickedness they've done. There'll be no time to turn around as the stars begin to hit the ground and the mountains fall and the veil is torn with the sounding of that seventh horn. Oh, revelation, I can feel it coming like a dog train running.
All right, welcome back. I'm going to give Shemeka Michelle the final word today. There's two things I want to ask you about, Shemeka. The first, Pat McAfee calling Caitlin Clark a white bitch. Big deal, little deal, no deal. Are you surprised he apologized? Are you surprised he still has his job? Your thoughts?
Well, I definitely know you can say black bitch. I just don't know if it's okay for him to say white bitch. And I was surprised that Kendrick Perkins had something to say because I'm sure if we looked at his playlist, he has tons of songs of black women calling themselves black bitches, black men calling them black bitches. But I guess we don't have songs where they're known as white bitch. So I guess that's where we draw the line on white bitch. I didn't think he said anything wrong because let's be honest, this is what they're referring to her as. All of her people, her enemies, those that are jealous, they are thinking, who does this white bitch think she is? So, I mean, I didn't see a big deal. I'm not surprised that he apologized. They always walk it back. Nobody can say something, drop it like it's hot and just stand 10 toes down. So I'm not surprised that he apologized, but I didn't see it as a really big deal.
The other epiphany, I wouldn't even say epiphany, but somewhat of an epiphany that I had is that listening to Monica McNutt, listening to all of these women talk about this, and listening to Angel Reese, listening to Kennedy Carter, or Kennedy, whatever her name is, listening to her, there's no accountability for black women. They can say anything without fear. They won't be called racist and canceled. They won't be called homophobic and canceled. They won't be called anti-Semitic and canceled. They live in the most protected space in American culture right now, where they have the freedom to say any and everything. It doesn't need to be attached to logic. It doesn't need to be attached to any integrity or morality. They can do it all, and it's all excused. If they beat up someone at a restaurant, well, the restaurant gave them poor service. Someone clearly must have called them the N-word. That's the only reason why it would have happened. I've just never seen anything like this, and it's all been weaponized. And I think it's like why black women are the face of the leftist movement, because they are kryptonite, or they are the ultimate weapon. They're the nuclear bomb that can do it. They can organize mail-in balloting, cheating, or whatever and they're queens, and they save democracy. Am I wrong for saying that there's one demographic that seems above the law, and it's black women?
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think for most black women to even say the word accountability, they would bite their tongues. I think that the reason why the Democrat Party or the left puts them in the front is because they can do the role that they seem to be most built for, and that is being a pit bull. They have no accountability, and yes, they can say whatever they want to say. They can do whatever they want to do. And what I'm trying to figure out is if these women are the most educated, if they have it all together, if they have it all going for them, why are they so angry? why are they so mad? And when it comes to the accountability portion, when it comes to responsibility, they just lack that because they've never had to be held accountable. And with this black girl magic, you said this earlier, I'm trying to figure out why they can't just poof and make a man. This 6-figure, gotta have it all together. Why are so many of them by themselves? And when you talked about them being welfare queens earlier, it is funny to me that the government can literally put their hands like this and say to the black woman, put your foot right here. I'm gonna boost you and help push you over the fence. But this same black woman will look down her nose at a black man as if she has accomplished something on her own that he hasn't accomplished. Well, if it takes two to tango, yes, we understand that. Yes, if there's a baby involved, you both had it, but the government will only boost one of you, will only give one a footstool, but yet then the black woman will walk around like, she can't eat at the Cheesecake Factory, or she's so special, will live in Section 8 housing for 20 years and then say, he has to wine and dine me. You mean to tell me you've been in Section 8 housing for 20 years and you haven't been able to save up enough money to wine and dine yourself? It's just a joke, and no one will be real with them and tell them the honest truth.
Why are black men so afraid of black women? Because I'm clearly Stephen A. Smith bit his tongue. I'm looking at Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp. These guys have access to virtually any woman they want, but they're afraid of Monica McNutt. They're afraid of black women. They all want to make sure they stay in their good graces. I argue it's because they know that woman has the gun and can shoot them at any time and will shoot them when necessary. They will shoot Shannon Sharp down, and Club Shay Shay will be Club something else next week. Club Latoya. I don't know. But why are they so afraid?
Because most of them grew up like Norbit, and Rasputia was their mother. And this is just how they've been trained. If the father wasn't around or a present person in the house for them, and the father was strong and could show them how a man is supposed to be in relation to a woman, all they have is the fact that woman bossed them around as a mom, told them what to do. And a lot of times he won't gonna be shit just like his daddy. This is what they had to grow up as. So when you see that film Norbit, to me, this is how a lot of black men grew up. And so it's very easy for them to then take that role in relationships, in the workplace, because it started at home.
Shemeka, thank you so much. We're going to play some Tamara, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be,